up until now. I just believe outwork regardless, if it's during this lockdown and you don't have equipment, or you don't have this, or you're stuck at home. You kind of, if you've got the will to succeed, you'll find a way, So kind of that was back then. I mean, the deputy head boy of the school, his father was the headmaster, so I kind of he was a good mate of mine, and I kind of bribed him to get a spare key cut for the gym. And I used to go in the evenings at about 9 o'clock when everyone was heading off to bed, and I used to sneak in there and then get a good hour. And then in the mornings, obviously we had squad sessions at about 5 o'clock before school. So those are kind of the little things that I just try to used to do to just get ahead of.
And when you finish with that, I suppose you're gonna fly, huh?
Hey guys, welcome back to the Rugby Bricks podcast. My name is Peter Breen, your founder and host of this Rugby Bricks podcast. Today's guest is a true gentleman of the game, all the way from South Africa, Jessie Kriel. Speaking with Jessie was an absolute pleasure, and the fact that he had a notepad, a pen, and had already done some homework and preparation for our chat shows that he's an absolute true student of the game. During his time at boarding school, Jessie tells us the story of getting a spare key for the school gym, sneaking over to the gym late at nights, and gym sessions in the dark so no one knew that he was there, all in the quest to get ahead of his competition. Jessie played in the South African under-20 side that was full of stars and went on to win the World Cup along with his good mate Andre Pollard. Against the All Blacks in last year's Rugby World Cup, Jessie pulled his hamstring, and in true hard work mindset, he did absolutely everything he could to get that hamstring right to get back for the corner finals. He wasn't able to. South Africa then went on to win the Rugby World Cup and inspire a country. I get into a really deep conversation with Jessie about the current state of the selection criteria versus a black and white player. The passion, hard work, and the attention to detail really does come through. Enjoy this conversation with Jessie Kriel. 3, 2, 1. Jessie Kriel, all the way from South Africa. Thanks for taking the time to speak to us today on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me on your podcast. Big privilege, and I think it's the highlight of my day. Obviously, this going through the whole lockdown and thing. It's not too much going on besides training, so this is something different.
I can imagine your training schedule is pretty good at the moment during COVID, and we'll get into that at the moment. But I guess I'm really excited today to sort of learn about yourself and your detail, but also just probably pick up on some of the differences in South African rugby and what's different about growing up and playing over there. But I did want to let you know we do have something in common. We're both twins. We both have twin brothers. Just pretty
awesome. Are you the better looking one, or did you get the short end of the stick?
Yeah, I reckon I am the better looking one, but as you'll know, they always think they're the better one at most things. So
yeah. I got you there.
Shout out to Dan, your twin brother too, and my twin brother Robbie. And I guess we were just speaking before we jumped on about how we sort of come to chat, and it was around your passing game and just a few questions you had. So there was a really good sign for me that you're keen to grow your game. So I'm just keen to hear, why did you reach out for a start, and how's that process going now with just passing and improving it?
Yeah, so basically how I got onto your stuff was obviously started in Japan this year on a new quest or just a new journey, and I saw a few of the boys, some of the Japanese boys at our club at Canon are literally watching your videos all the time. So in the locker room, I've obviously seen a few of these of the boys watching the videos, and they obviously go into the gym and do all some of the drills, and then out in the field as well. You'll be surprised how many boys over in Japan you've got doing some of your drills, which is pretty cool.
Love it. Yeah.
So I latched onto this from another teammate of mine, Amano. He's a scrum half, and yeah, I just started looking at your videos and just saw a few of the boys that I've played against, and just kind of thought, hey, here's an awesome opportunity to kind of develop my game. Something that I've been working quite hard on. But I think a lot of the times the work ethic's there, but the right technique and the correct technique isn't always there. So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot when you're working hard at doing something not always 100% correct. So I sort of just thought, take a step back, get the correct techniques, get all the right things in place, and then get a good plan, and then go on from there. So that's when I reached out, and luckily you were pretty keen and open about it, and offered your help. So grateful for that.
Awesome, man. I mean, it's a part of the game that I love, and going into detail within every rep. Is it sort of something that's come from the top around your game that they've asked you to improve on and work on? You know, every player's got something they've got to improve. Is it something that's come from the top?
I would say a couple of seasons ago. It's always something when you sit in a one-on-one. And the coach asks you, where do you see yourself improving or getting better as a player? And I think a big thing for me was always obviously linking between, or as an outside centre, you want to be able to link as well as take the line on. So I think it's something that I want to do, add to my game, and just obviously to stay more unpredictable as a player, make it harder for people to defend against you. So it's always something that I'm looking to add to my game. All different types of passes and things like that. It's something. Obviously, when John Mitchell started at the Bulls, he identified it and worked quite hard with me. And then obviously now at the Springboks, we've got a guy named Felix Jones. I'm not sure if you know of him. But he's unbelievable. He's kind of the attack coach, and does a lot of the skills and things like that. And he's been pretty hands-on and given me a few awesome drills and things like that as well to kind of work. He's been really hands-on, so it's been quite cool, and something that I've been really focusing on in the last probably 3 seasons on improving, and I've seen a lot of improvement there. And it's when you start getting that little improvement and you start pulling off those cool bridge passes and even if it's those little just the hand speed in games, and you get those passes away, which lead to tries and things like that, it starts becoming quite addictive, and you just want to carry on just getting better and better.
I love to hear you say that, and to feel like that real satisfaction when you do execute a pass like that on the field, because that for me that becomes really contagious within a group. Like if everyone's trying to get clean skills and clean catching and beautiful passing, it creates so much time. I do just want to stay on this for just a touch longer, just with detail. So with your passing game, one of the pieces of my feedback was just there was a lot of hip movements, almost like a door opening and closing. So how have you sort of found trying to retrain the body to stay a little squarer and shorten the feet up?
Yeah, well, that was the really cool thing. Obviously, that I picked up from you is a lot of the time, especially as a midfielder, as a centre, you obviously want to get nice and square on the ball. And I think you identified my hips sometimes are either turned in too much, or when I'm passing, they overturn, they kind of overextend, which means I'm actually losing pace or having to slow down to pass or things like that. So it's been quite uncomfortable trying to get into better habits, but I mean, I've been doing it every day, quite religiously, and starting to become more of a habit every day. Obviously, this lockdown's been awesome because you can I've kind of just broken down my whole game and just written down on a piece of paper, just kind of broken everything down, be it skills, be it tackle entry, be it my height going into tackles, my height going into breakdowns. What am I doing with my legs? I mean, what am I doing with my lead arm when I'm passing? How am I getting a better grip strength? So all kind of things like that have been broken down. And I think one of the big things, one of the macro things in my passing game is definitely my hips. And like you said, it's been uncomfortable, but it's getting better and better every day. I suppose that coming back to what you said, that's kind of the addictive part when you start seeing those little results. I mean, every day you get better and better. So yeah, that's been quite cool. I think. After this lockdown, I think everyone's going to be so keen, and I know for myself, I'm not going to be able to wait to get back on the field and try all these things under match pressure.
I love it, man. And it sounds like I know that you've done it logging your entry into books and stuff throughout your career. So, but it sounds like at the moment you've almost done a bit of a stock take on yourself with where things are at. Just out of curiosity, who's passing the ball to you when you're at home? Is that your partner or?
Yeah. So I'm on my partner's farm back here in South Africa, and luckily her sister. Her boyfriend, he's also here, so he helps me now and again. Otherwise, it's my partner. Pretty much whoever I can get free, who's not actually the ones at varsity and the ones working. So whoever, be it during lunch or be it after work, they're pretty keen to help. So I literally I've been pretty irritating, I suppose, trying to get them.
How's your
at every
opportunity?
Path?
How's your partner's
excuse
path?
me?
How's your
it's getting better.
path?
It's getting better. She's working hard at it, and I think she's kind of come to realize it's one of the things that's probably one of the only things I ask of her. So she's been pretty cool about it.
I love it, man. I want to go into now just sort of your under-20s journey with South Africa. Players definitely in New Zealand and Australia, when they make that under-20 squad, they get the first kind of taste for that professional environment and what it's like. And also over here, generally about 90% of those players all go on to get super contracts and become professional. Yeah. So what was that experience like for you, exposing you, but also is it the same in South Africa? Most of the players do continue on and go through?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can say that I was pretty privileged going through all the ranks at school. Obviously, the South African schools team, and then went on to play 2 years of under-20s, which kind of, like you said, set you up for a nice super contract after school. And I know it's the same over there. I mean, that our under-20 year, we played against, I think it was in Auckland. Amazing competition. We had a really cool squad, and most of these guys had actually gone on to either play Super Rugby, and I mean, a few of them, guys like Andre, gone on to win the World Cup and been pretty instrumental. So it's been really cool. And then it's also been really cool to see guys like very good mates of mine, Damon McKenzie, guys that we played against, Anton Leonard Brown, all those guys going on, Richie Mwanga, going on to be really successful for their teams, and obviously keep that friendship as well. That started pretty early off in our careers.
What do you think it's when you get into those under-20 games? Like, one, they're extremely fast. Like, all the boys are just so wanting to play well. Like, just with that age group, the speed of the game's good. Is that what it feels like when you play those under-20 tournament World Cups?
Yeah, well, I think the big difference for me coming from school, it was kind of your first taste at a proper professional setup. So you kind of had a really good feel and taste for what it was, what the whole professional rugby career was going to be about. And I think that's the thing that got everyone excited. I mean, you were waking up, you had a training program, you had a dietitian looking at the meals. Trainings were pretty structured, not at like school level where, as you know, it's after on a Tuesday or whatever. It's literally every day. It's rugby, and it's you're talking rugby, you're thinking rugby. And I think that's the thing that gets guys excited, and in the end you get the product of the fast game. And I mean, guys you see now complete freaks at under 20, guys that are literally going on the next year and starring for their men's international team. So I think that's the kind of exciting thing. And I mean, that competition was massive for a lot of us. You know, really helped us to take that next step to the big stage.
So. And it sounds to me like you're a guy who puts a lot of thought and loves detail within game plans and your own game. When you go from school into that now first taste of professional, and like what you mentioned about everything's planned and every day's got a plan, how do you stop from overthinking everything and just, blowing up within your own brain?
Yeah, I think that's where good mentors come in, and also senior players. I know, like, obviously in our under 19 years, we had guys that were really exposed to the senior teams and stuff. So you see what these guys are all about. You see how these guys approach situations, how they deal with certain things, and I suppose the guys that go on and make it to their men's international teams are the guys that adapt the best, and guys that can take in information, process it the quickest, and just kind of adapt. And I think those are the guys that, if you wanted to call it, those are the guys that swim in the end of the day. So I think that's kind of how I took it. I just listened as much as I could, and asked as many questions as I could. I think that's kind of how I approach the whole thing.
And you mentioned there your good friend Andre Pollard. I'm a massive fan of how he plays the game. I think he's leading the world with how first five should play, with his kicking game, his attack game. He's such a ball runner as well. The kid's a freak, I guess, playing alongside him. What are some of the things that you've picked up from him and seen in his game that has grown as a good friend?
Yeah, well, he's one of my best mates, if not one of my best mates. We lived together for a couple of years in our junior years. We played most of our rugby together actually up until this year when he's gone to Montpellier and I've been over in Japan. So I've been lucky. I've been the lucky recipient to play outside him. I think he's got one of the most unbelievable passes in rugby, in world rugby, and one of the coolest heads on him. I mean, he came to the Bulls as a 18-year-old kid and literally had the head of a 30-year-old on him. I mean, always calm, always made the right decisions. And when you're outside, he would always back you as well. Up until to this day, when we play together, regardless of the situation, if you're outside him and you call for the ball, he'll back you, and that ball just comes on a string, nice out in front of you. And I think that's probably one of the things that I've missed most this year is having Andre on the inside of you. I've just learned from him. He was obviously our captain at under 20s and at schoolboy level, and I think his calmness and his cool head was just it was unseen back then. I think that's something that I really learned from him, or his leadership things always. When he spoke, kind of everyone just listened, and a lot of respect for him.
So, I know this is your podcast, but I'm keen to hear more on your view of Andre.
I'm keen to talk about him, mate. He's a machine.
Because you're right. I remember watching that under-20 tournament. I didn't know who he was, but he just had the biggest impact on the game, of anyone in that whole under-20s tournament, what he was doing. And you're right about him almost being like a 30-year-old fly half just on the field, just cool, calm and collected. How did he get that? So that's first question. And second thing, you mentioned his passing game. I love detail. What did he do to get that game? Where did that come from?
So, I think I don't think you can explain. If you look at all the good fly-halves, guys like Dan Carter, Bowden Barrett, Tundre, you can carry on naming them. They've just got this kind of coolness and calmness about them, and they all have got this character trait where they literally they just want to take control. They want to have that ownership. They want to have that charge. They want to take charge of the room. They want to take charge of the plan that's set out for the week. And I think that's the biggest trait. If you look at a guy like Andre, he will walk in, he will say, listen, guys, this is what we're going to do this week. We're going to do it like this. It's going to work. And guys just kind of follow, So I think he's kind of just takes rugby by the scruff of its neck, takes a plan and just drives it, And guys kind of climb on the bus and just back him 100%. And I think that's where his success has come. He's an awesome leader, and guys are kind of keen to follow him. And then talking about his pass, if you I've known Andre pretty well and seen a few photos of him as a little kid. I think the guy could pass a rugby ball before he could walk. I think his dad, avid rugby player, really good down in the Western Cape. And I think Andre has just kind of been born. I know he always used to tell me that his dad just used to pass with him the whole time, left and right. And I think that's obvious. Or I don't know if that was the start, but I think, I think definitely had a part to play in why his passing game is so good these days.
Yeah, and And last question on him, did you see him do that at the World Cup last year? Did you see him take that same control that he did with that 20s group and just say, this is the plan, this is going to work within the group?
Yeah, well, I can say from the under 20s until the last game or that I played in the World Cup with him, literally every game, being it for the Bulls or being it for the Springboks, Hanre's always a guy that's going to step up regardless. I mean, we've been through bad patches at the Bulls and the Springboks when guys have questioned him. I mean, he had some bad injuries. Was out for 2 years. Literally comes back and he's got that same mentality and just takes the whole situation by the scruff of the neck and just leads. So I mean, I'm always a guy that will follow him regardless of what. I mean, if he's going to jump off the mountain and says it's the right thing to do, I'll do it. You know. So that's kind of the respect that I've got for him and the kind of the friend and leader he is.
Outstanding, man. And it sounds like you'd follow him on and off the field, which has been good, judging by a few.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we chat pretty much every day.
So a big thing with Rugby Bricks, and you've probably seen it, as our outwork, outlearn sort of slogan, and it's on all the kicking tees. Happy to get Andre a few kicking tees too if he's listening.
He loves those and always hands them out after games to the kids. They love it. So really special. I think there's a few of those tees going around in Pretoria.
I love it. One thing that I know about you, just from watching, is you used to sneak into the school gym late at night and work hard and get in gym sessions and late nights. So I guess that's a real outwork thing. When you were doing those sessions, I want to hear more about them, like what you're actually physically doing. But did you know you were trying to get ahead, or is it just what you wanted to do?
Yeah, well, I've always kind of been on the boundary. I don't know if you want to call it crazy or not crazy, but I mean, I've always been pretty keen to kind of stay ahead of everyone and or people that I've been playing against. And I'm a big believer in preparation. Obviously, what you do to prepare and how you train is how you're going to perform on the weekend. So, I just kind of just have the whole what do you call it? The mindset of outworking people, just outworking and working hard, and I believe that pays off. So, that's just kind of been my whole outlook from a young boy up until now. I just believe outwork, regardless if it's during this lockdown and you don't have equipment or you don't have this or you're stuck at home. You kind of if you've got the will to succeed, you'll find a way. You know, so kind of that was back then. I mean, the deputy head boy of the school. His father was the headmaster, so I kind of he was a good mate of mine, and I kind of bribed him to get a spare key cut for the gym, and I used to go in the evenings at about 9 o'clock when everyone was heading off to bed, and I used to sneak in there and then get a good hour, and then in the mornings, obviously we had squad sessions at about 5 o'clock before school. So those are kind of the little things that I just try to used to do to just get ahead of everyone or people like that. And then I think those kind of things become ingrained in you, and you kind of take it into your career. And I think a big thing now is obviously conditioning is an important thing, but I've tried to channel that into my skill set. And I mean, being at footwork, I've also broken down now during this lockdown, broken down my whole footwork and looking at how I step. How I can develop a goose step on your weaker side of your feet, and I mean, just looking at everything, how your hips are looking with your agility and your footwork and things like that. So I've just kind of it's become part of my DNA and things as a player throughout the years.
I want to hear more about the 9 p.m. gym sessions and sneaking into the gym. Can you sort of remember those sessions? Were they always upper body, or what were you doing? What were you focusing on at that time?
So obviously I mean, I used to go in and I could never ever switch on all the lights in the gym because otherwise people would know I was there. So it was kind of in the dark most of the times. Where the like lights from the classrooms used to shine into the gym.
Music?
I mean, our gym was on top of our no music. I used to gym in silence, and because our gym was on top of the dining the dining hall right next to the boarding school, so I couldn't kind of wake anyone up or get in trouble. So it used to be kind of in dark. I used to sneak around there and get the work done. But yeah, it was a bit of everything. I remember I used to split my weeks into obviously 2 big upper body sessions in the evenings and then 2 big leg sessions. So I used to split it up, and it wasn't upper body every night, unfortunately. You've got to get the tough stuff out the way as well.
I like it, man. And you mentioned there about some footwork stuff. Stuff you've been working on. Can you remember back to a time where you put a lot of work into a skill or element of your game, and then you got a real good win on the field in one of your professional games? Like, might have been something to do with footwork or a certain drill, tackle tech, where you're like, "Yep, I worked on that, and now I've nailed it in a game."
Yeah, well, if I can think back to probably one of the most satisfying things was. I never used to really offload much. I just use the backhand pass. And then obviously playing against a guy like Sonny Bull a lot. He's a great guy, great player. I used to kind of admire that pass that he did, and it's something that I really wanted to add to my game. So a couple of seasons back, first game of the season, John Mitchell was actually our coach, and in the preseason, I was working really hard with our skills guy at the Bulls. His name's Hayden Groupies. He coaches the juniors there now. But we had worked literally after every session. I used to do, if it wasn't 10 or 15, just backhand passes. Just obviously squaring up a guy, getting that fend out, and then getting that pass away to a support runner. And first game of the Super Rugby on Loftus, we got the Hurricanes. I can't remember who I got on the outside, but it squared up Severe. He came in from his wing to adjust and got that little pass away, and it was a nice assist for a try. And I think that's where what you talk about is where you get that kind of satisfaction from all those little extras throughout a preseason or something that you really worked hard on, and then it comes to reality in a game. So I think that's where you those are what you put all the hours in for. Those little moments or those little edges that you get in the game.
When you put that guy away and against Severe and the Hurricanes, did you click straight away? Did you know, yeah, that's what I've been working on?
Yeah, I remember literally as I made the pass, I just thought, like, flip, that's it. That's like I remember just literally turning turning around and running back and just being like, shit, that's exactly the drill we've been working on. And it was really cool. It was instant, and I was like, yo, wow, that's cool, you know?
Yeah, amazing, man. We just spoke about the gym and you putting in the work with that 20s group. I've heard, and I don't know if this is true, that a lot of the players go through a thing called the freeze, which is like 6 months off from rugby, where all you focus on is growing your body, becoming really athletically big, and working on your game. Is that just a rumor, or is that something that players do get through?
We don't call it I don't think it's called the freeze, but I mean, obviously it's not the whole squad, but there were, like, obviously are individuals at a younger age that get put on programs at the unions to literally focus on. I mean, you know, you can get guys that are, let's say, lock forwards that are 100 kgs, but they're really athletic, and they get put on different programs to kind of get themselves up to Super Rugby to standard, and obviously a lot of the guys' skills and line-out qualities as a lock are really good, but at 100 kgs he's getting around the park, but he's not going to be able to compete with a guy like Evan Etzebeth or something like that. So yeah, guys do get put on individual program. I haven't heard about the freeze thing, but I mean, that's pretty new to me. But yeah, there are cases where guys get individual training programs and get individual goals and things that they have to achieve in order for them to meet the standards.
Yeah, cool. I'm pleased to ask, because it must have just been something that I picked up along the way regarding the free stuff. With I want to hear more about your going back to overworking. So I'm sure when you were doing all these sessions, and a lot of people would have been saying, mate, you're doing too much work. I don't know why you're training so hard. You're going to overdo it. How did you combat those, just have a sleep in, or don't do a training session tonight? Or did you just know you needed to work?
I think the perfect question here would just be, I know I have to work. But I mean, even to this day, I mean, when you have to wake up at 5 o'clock, it's not pretty. I mean, it's to give you the honest truth. It's sometimes it's shit. You don't want to wake up. It's cold, or you got your partner next to you, and you could just lie for an extra hour, and it's all good, But deep down, I mean, if we go do, let's say, conditioning or fitness, and you're only doing 3 of the 5 reps, deep down that when I come up against Anton Leonard-Brown, or a Sonny Bill Williams, or someone like that, I know that he's done all his reps, and he's probably done more. So this is kind of the mindset in your head. You've got to kind of stay ahead of your opposition, because I know for a fact that those guys are working hard. I don't know how hard, but I just hope for my sake that you kind of working harder, But I think that's the thing that drives me. You want to be the best. I don't want to have regrets when I'm done playing. I don't want to say, flip, I could have done this better, or I should have woken up and done those extra sessions, because I think let's say you retire and you're lucky, you've had a good career, you retire at 35. You've still got a lot of time to think about all those regrets, and I don't want that. I want to be able to hang my boots up one day and say, flip, I gave this my best shot, and I was the best I could be.
I think one message I'm trying to get through to people is whatever happens in your career, whatever stage you get to, however many caps you play, you'll always be really proud of the effort you put in if you put in a lot of work. So it sounds like, looking back, you're really proud of what you did in those late nights, your work ethic, which gives you confidence.
Absolutely. And it's a controllable, it's something you can control. I mean, I think our current Springbok coach, or the World Cup-winning coach, Rassie Erasmus, always speaks about being able to control, obviously controlling the controllables. And I mean, work rate, effort, things are like that. It's stuff that you bring to the party. Only you can control that. And if you disappoint yourself there's no forgiveness for that. I mean, if you're making skill errors and you've made honest errors, that's cool. You can live with that. You can work on that, but you can't you can't coach a guy's work rate or how quickly he gets off the floor. That's between you and you. That's personal, and those are the things that I think make you a good player or make you a great player.
I love those points, and it's such a great cue for young players coming through. You just mentioned Rassie Erasmus. Then we're going to chat a little bit about him, but just a bit of a change of tack. What's something outside of rugby at the moment? I always talk about projects, or what's something that you've got going on that is a really nice distraction for you outside of rugby.
I think the biggest thing that's keeping me busy at the moment, I started a little business beginning of last year called Exalt. It's a recovery Epsom salt bath soak. It kind of hits home with the rugby and everything.
Cool.
It's been pretty cool, and it's started to do really well here in South Africa. And something it's quite close to home, like I said, with the training and obviously the recovery. It's been pretty well accepted in the whole sporting community. And we've obviously, before this corona, we were kind of getting into big retailers over here, and it was starting to get all exciting, but things have kind of obviously just died down for now. Really promising, brands looking good, and that kind of keeps me busy off the field.
Awesome, man. My wife's grandfather swore by Epsom salts. If you broke your leg, he'd be saying jump in the bath with Epsom salts. So I'm very familiar. How are you guys promoting it? What are you guys, advantages? I'm keen to hear more.
Yeah, so obviously we've got some really cool athletes. I don't know if you know Caster Semenya, Olympic champion. Obviously we've got guys like Andre. We've got boxers. A good friend of mine, Kevin Lorena. He's a world champion. So we've got some big sports men and women that are ambassadors for Exalt, our brand, and they obviously use the product and promote it for us. And then we've also got quite a big presence on social media, and we're into a few supplement stores over here, like Extreme Nutrition. That's pretty big over here. They've got about 25 to 30 shops around the country that kind of distribute our product. And so that's kind of how we've started to get into the market and kind of expose it to athletes and I mean, even to your corporate, your guys working in corporate, your men or women that have had a hard day at work, they kind of also fall into that category of people and target market that we've kind of gone after. So it's been pretty cool. Just your Epsom salt with added essential oils. I mean, we've got 4 different types, and we've got some more brands or more product ranges that are coming out now with bath bombs and magnesium sprays and all this kind of stuff. That's pretty exciting.
Are you worldwide, or are you just in South Africa?
No, we're just in South Africa at the moment. I've actually got a lot of messages from over New Zealand and Australia and guys asking about if they can order over there, but we're not quite there yet. Kind of just focusing on growing it over here first, and then taking it overseas once we've got quite a firm stand here in South Africa.
Yeah, we went through the same thing with Rugby Bricks. Like, it's cool when you know you've got a good product, because you get a lot of questions getting asked, and how can we get it? So that's really exciting. It's a really
Thanks,
good
mate.
We can definitely share those links to that stuff in the show notes for people wanting to learn more. You're a student of the game. You've got a pen and paper in front of you there, ready to take notes and write things down. It's pretty clear. You were always really good at logging stuff in a book. So I guess from that young age, was this something you were always doing from a really young age, and goal setting and having a plan?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm a person that needs to kind of write something down to just go over it again and just so that I know that I've got it to remember it. You know, I think if I sit in this call with you now and I don't write key points down, I'm probably, there's not a lot of humans that have got photographic memories that can remember the whole thing. So I'm not one of them, unfortunately. I have to write things down, and that's how I remember things. So, I've been doing it since a young age, kind of keeping a logbook. And obviously, when I started playing professional sports, obviously it gets a bit more intense. And now I kind of am at the point where I kind of like to plan my week, know what I'm doing, know where I'm dedicating my time to.
You obviously play international rugby. When you play a game for South Africa, what's the plan going in your book, and then what do you do after a game within your book? I'm really keen to hear like how you document it, because there'll be players wanting to do the same.
Yeah, so basically on a Sunday before Test week, Sunday night, obviously you've played the previous Saturday, you obviously review your game on the Sunday morning or whatever. On a Sunday evening, I tend to kind of just take a big piece of blank paper and just start planning my week. So obviously you would have been sent out clips on opposition, and you've done your own work as well. But how I plan my week is kind of what I look at, where I can improve my game attack wise. I've got a defense column as well, and then I've got my obviously conditioning and just like well-being, things like that, and then my breakdown. So I kind of look at 3 points maybe that I let myself down on the weekend, or that I did really well. And my point of difference as a player, I kind of like to work on those things. You always want to work on the things that you do pretty well. And then I just look for time slots. Obviously, you get your weekly program from the manager as how your week's looking. And then I look for slots in that weekly program where I can get 5 minutes of let's say of breakdown drills where I can improve my breakdown. Let's say my shoulder contact, I want better shoulder contact, and my legs are dying. I want to pump my legs more in removing a threat. So I'll look for 5 minutes in my weekly program where I can improve on that. And if I need to ask a coach, listen, where can you help me here? Can you set up a drill for me? I kind of like to get that all out the way, or I make a note. Let's say on a Tuesday we've got or attack or whatever. I'll make a note that I need to get to that coach, and let's say, listen, now I want to work on my bridge passing. Can you work out a drill that can help me, or are we going to have that in our split session for that Tuesday? So all small little things like that, where I can kind of just put the control into my hands. I can kind of control how my week looks and control what I am putting into my week, just so that I know that I've kind of checked all the boxes that I need to check and that I know that I need to do in order to give me good confidence going into the weekend. So that's kind of how I see things. I mean, I've also, let's say, my conditioning block of my piece of paper. I'd obviously say, let's say I want to get 3 rubs in a week. And obviously I want to have a good breakfast. I'll go chat with the dietitian if I do, or just I've got a few mates outside of rugby that are also kind of into health and fitness that can give me tips and things like that. So yeah, even if it's taking 2 Epsom salt baths in the evenings, just kind of documenting the stuff, just so that you've written it down, so that you know you've kind of made a commitment. I think that's a big important thing, that you in your head, and you've written it down, and you said, listen, I want to kind of do this week to help me perform better on the weekend. And that's what it comes down to. You kind of you do all of these things, and the question you need to ask yourself is it going to make me play better on the weekend and help me contribute to the team's performance? And I think that's the question you need to ask yourself when doing all these things.
I absolutely love the detail. My next question is, there will be players like yourself who love the detail, love planning, looking, writing things down. There's also what I call the blissfully dumb player, where they're happy, they just go with the flow, they don't need a plan, they'll perform and back themselves. So there must be guys like that in the South Africa team, but there also must be guys like yourself. When the plan changes, you start a week, you've got a great plan, you hurt your ankle, and things have to change. How do you go with adjusting with that?
Yeah, well, that's actually something that I've been thinking about. I was actually doing a hill set yesterday. I did this pretty tough. It's like an 8-kilometer hill set around the farm here, where it consists of like 5 mean hill sprints of 400 meters, and you literally go into this dark place where, like, you start questioning yourself and things like that. And I think going through all these tough times and hard sessions and stuff like that, you kind of build up I don't know how to kind of explain it, but you start getting this hard shell, and this if something bad does happen during the week, you've been in that dark place. Not much worse can happen, or you've been to that dark place and you've got out of it. So you kind of build up a resilience. That's the word I've been looking for. You build up this resilience to these setbacks or these hard times, and those things that kind of get you through those setbacks. I mean, I've had many times in a test week, let's say your calf's a bit tight, you can't do the actual footwork you do, but then you can visualize. You can literally sit, before you go to bed at night, and you can visualize yourself doing 5 great cleanouts on each shoulder, and getting those legs working and getting a good shoulder on your target. So you can work other ways. You can work on things mentally and in your head. So there's always a way. Don't ever let people tell you that, listen, because I'm sore, I can't do that. You can visualize. You can watch clips. You can go, if let's say your legs are a bit sore, you can do an extra 10 minutes on the computer, watching what your opposition does, or making a better plan for something like that. So there's always a way,
That's absolutely perfect, Jessie. Like you mentioned a few things there. Like I think that hard shell is a really good explanation, but also those visualization cues are so important. And I think a lot of goal kickers understand visualization, but a lot of other positions don't maybe put as much value on that. So it's really cool to hear that. Talking about setbacks, obviously the Rugby World Cup, having to withdraw with it was a hamstring injury, right? Against New Zealand. Were you on the plane, see you later, or were you allowed to hang around?
No, so I kind of, Rassie, him and I had a chat, and he gave me the benefit of the doubt. I told him I'd be ready in 2 weeks, but I actually had torn my hamstring off. So, I think we got a bit of a misdiagnosis from the doctor in Japan. So, it was a bit of mixed. bit of a mixed emotions there, but I mean, credit to him. He gave me the benefit of the doubt and allowed me to stay with the team for 2 weeks to try and potentially recover. I didn't, but yeah, I'm just so glad we went on and managed to secure the World Cup.
Yeah. So you were there all the way through to the World Cup win, or did you go home after the 2 weeks?
No, so after the 2 weeks, Rassie and I sat down again. I mean, he's cool, man. He's open about these things. Kind of talks to you straight up, and I think that's one of his awesome things as a coach, attributes as a coach. He said, "Listen, yeah," I said to him, "I'm going to get home, get to my team at the Bulls, the rehab team, and I'm going to do everything I can and everything in my power to kind of rehab and try to get this hamstring ready to potentially come back to the World Cup. You know, if there was an injury." Right. I'd be able to go back. So that was kind of the thinking. And then obviously got back to South Africa, worked really hard for 2 weeks, and the hamstring wasn't coming right. I was in chats to Rassie. He was asking me, "Listen, is your hamstring ready? Are you able to come back? Blah, blah, blah."
Wow.
And yeah, I went for another scan. Hamstring was a lot worse. It was nearly a complete tear. If the bone, luckily it wasn't. Yeah. Obviously got flown back of the week of the final. Got to spend time with the guys, and wow. Got to witness something that is really special and meaningful for our country.
A couple of ways I want to go here. Hard question. The first one, that flying back to South Africa and doing the rehab. So it sounds like you just went crazy. You were just trying to get your hamstring right at all costs.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I mean, obviously leaving the hotel when I knew I had to go home was just quite sad. But as soon as I got on the shuttle taking me to the airport, I was like, "Listen, our next job." I kind of just put all my power and energy into trying to get my hamstring ready, and got a cool guy that does the rehab at the Bulls. I had my first serious injury earlier in the Super Rugby last year, first big injury in my career. I tore my ankle ligaments and had an operation. They kind of said it was like a 10 to 12 week return to playing, and I played against the Hurricanes in the quarterfinals after 6.5 weeks. So
wow.
Made a really speedy recovery, and played a full 80 minutes in the quarterfinal after not playing rugby for like 6.5 weeks. So that was quite cool, and I just thought maybe I could have like repeated that and done it again and go back to the World Cup. So I kind of put all my energy and focus into that, and unfortunately it didn't come right. But I mean, the guys got the job done, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. I'd imagine physios and rehab people love you just getting into your work and getting it all done. The World Cup, you played in it. Do you feel like you won the World Cup? I know that's a tough question, but what are your feelings within yourself? Like, you were there.
Obviously, I've kind of been involved in the whole setup since a couple of years back, and I was basically involved in every single game leading up to the game I got injured. So I was kind of part of it. And if you ask any of the guys that didn't play in the final, the guys that were sitting in the stadium, I think all of them will tell you that they all really felt part of it. I mean, Rassie made it quite clear in the beginning that it was going to be a squad effort, and it wasn't just going to be about the 23 guys on the field. I mean, you would have seen that he had used 2 kind of squads throughout the whole season. I mean, we were playing in South Africa while another team was prepping for New Zealand in New Zealand. And then half the guys that played against Australia doubled up in the New Zealand game. So he was really cool and open about it. And I think all the guys can honestly say that they felt like they had won the World Cup. I mean, I felt like I did. And I mean, if you take the medal and all that stuff away, I was just so happy just so happy for the guys to have done it. And it's not really about the individual. It's more just the squad effort, and I think all the guys understand and know that.
I'm so pleased to hear you say that, because I'm a massive believer in the squad wins, because all those conversations, all those analysing other teams and talking with teams, like, that's what winning culture is. That's how you
absolutely
get things done. I want to hear about sort of how you guys played, because it was very unique. The amount of box kicks was really impressive. The way you guys defended. from me knowing nothing about your guys' preparation, I would say you guys had a massive focus on physicality, line speed, and really winning that battle. And also the box kick game was elite. Were they focuses within the team?
Yeah, obviously those facets of the game made up quite a big part of our DNA as a Springbok team. And I think in the past, you kind of, as South African team, you kind of get sucked into how people want you to play. I think obviously in, let's say, I don't talk about New Zealand, but I mean, let's say Aussie, the Australian team, awesome skill sets, love to throw the ball around. And that's just how the Australians have always played, you know. I think in South Africa, guys have also, I mean, you guys have got unbelievable skill sets and things like that. But we've kind of, in the past, wanted to move away from what's made us really strong, and that's being physical, having a good kicking game, things like that. And I think it's easy to get influenced and move away because of how people want you to play. And we just kind of said, listen, this is one of our strengths as a South African rugby team. We will play with flair. We can turn it on. We can ramp it up when we need to. And I think the guys showed that in the World Cup final in that last 20 minutes. The guys ramped it up. I mean, if you look right through the rugby championship, I think we showed as a team that we had the ability to score tries from anywhere on the field against whoever. But I think we also realized that to win a World Cup, you needed to be a really strong defense unit. And you needed to have a good kicking game that got you to the right areas of the field. Yeah. So I think finding the balance between the two was the trick, and something we got right and peaked at the right times.
Yeah, and then field position obviously leads to scoring opportunities, and then Andre off the boot with his goal kicking could just keep moving the needle. So just on that, every Super Rugby team sits down at the start of the year and say we want to win Super Rugby. Every team going to the World Cup says we want to win the World Cup. When did the South African squad know that they could win the World Cup and actually had that belief in the players of, yeah, we're on here, like this is real?
Well, I think, and I've mentioned it a few times. I mean, when Rassie and his coaching staff kind of came in, they brought a hell of a big confidence and kind of belief into the team. And I mean, it's the same kind of team that's been playing for the last same group of guys. And he just brought in this. I don't kind of know how to explain it, but this kind of like this belief and this confidence in the guys, and just made the guys starting to believe. And then obviously results play a big part as well. So you get this belief and you start turning it into results. I mean, we had a really good plan. Rassie's got an unbelievable rugby brain on him. So does Jacques Nienaber. You've got Felix Jones. You've got Mzwandile Stick. You've got all these clever guys and good coaches that are sitting together and putting these awesome plans on the tables. And then you've got this group of guys and leadership group that's kind of also bringing their part of the party and from all the players' perspective, and kind of just getting this cool plan that everyone kind of agrees upon and enjoys. And then you get the result in the weekend, which starts building confidence. And it's kind of like a snowball effect when you start winning and you start winning again, and it just gets better and better, and that belief just gets stronger and stronger. And then you get that result. Like, I mean, when we beat New Zealand in Wellington, I think that was quite big. Kind of started a real big belief in the team, and the guys kind of just knew it. I think that that snowball effect just gets bigger and bigger, you know.
The stuff that I've watched on Rassie with his team talks, and there's a lot of exposure, especially after the World Cup, of him talking to the group. And I noticed you sitting there with your pen and paper as per usual in the video. He's all about the human and no dickheads and a lot of those really simple things. But one thing that I really liked was he was telling the boys to get into sort of 120 battles on the field and win 80 of them. It's okay. I want you boys to try things and accept yourself. When you make a mistake on the field, how does that conversation go after the game?
So it's basically what I was talking about earlier on. It's literally, if it's a skill error, it's all good. We can fix it. I mean, go chat to your defense coach. If your tackle technique shit, you need to sort it out. You can sort that out. But I mean, if you're lacking in effort error, if you're if you're getting up the ground slowly because you don't want to get off the ground, then that's between you, and that's something that's not acceptable in a Springbok team. And I think that's what he made pretty clear. And I mean, I've never met someone that can actually get as much out of a human being as Rassie Erasmus can. He kind of, I think the big thing for him, he was a Springbok player as well, a really good one as well. And he went through all the kind of the highs and lows of being entitled, and he got entitled, and he tells us his stories and about how he was a dickhead. And it took some of his teammates that kind of had to say to him, listen, Rassie, you being an absolute arsehole, like, excuse my language, but I mean, you being a dickhead, you know. And he tells us all of this. So he's kind of used the lessons that he's learned throughout his career and told us this so that we don't make the same mistakes and that we can miss that whole circle that takes time and takes a lot of disappointment and actually turn that into positive that can lead to good results and in the end, like now, a World Cup. So I think that's been pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, getting the most out of humans is a massive skill set as a coach. One question I do want to ask about, the South African team has got different things that it needs to deal with. And I know that Khaleesi, there was a lot made of him being the first black captain to lead the group and win the World Cup. We heard it all the time with commentary. Within the group and I know this is a hard question, so to do your best to answer it, but what is the feeling like at the moment within South Africa around selections in different players? Is it spoken about? Is it 23 guys now, or is there still a little bit of that from selectors and the public?
Yeah, and I mean, it's not an uncomfortable question at all. And this is the kind of the thing that Rassie also brought in at the Springboks. I mean, transformation, things like this in South Africa, it's a reality. It's something that's happening. It's there, you know. And I mean, in South Africa, we always wanted to keep quiet about it and kind of wanted to sweep it under the mat and not talk about it. But I mean, why? I mean, Rassie brought it in. We spoke about it. We discussed this as a group. It is there. I mean, things have happened in our country. People have I mean, apartheid was terrible. I mean, people were treated really, really badly. And I mean, no human should ever have been treated like people were treated. So transformation is something that we all embrace and that we completely back in our country. And if you look at the players that have come through this, the grassroots levels that have been implicated or that have been installed in South Africa, I mean, it's been awesome. I mean, guys that are getting opportunities now, like Khaleesi, he's gone on to win a World Cup, inspire a whole nation. I mean, he's busy as we speak. I mean, I chatted to him today. That guy's feeding thousands of homeless people, and he's a rugby player. He's feeding and inspiring people during this pandemic, and he's got a foundation going, and he's keeping homeless people off the streets and allowing hungry people to eat. So I think it's more than just rugby, and I think this guy's giving hope. He's giving hope to people that don't necessarily have hope, and I think that's the biggest. It's bigger than rugby, you know. So that's been pretty cool.
What a fantastic! I mean, I was nervous to ask that question, and I think you've handled it well. And it sounds like what a fantastic thing as well for Rassie to do is let's own it and call it.
Yeah, 100%.
Use the word transformation, and I think that sums it up so well. Like, let's be a part of making the change and attacking it. So the effect in South Africa is one thing you just mentioned there. Last couple of questions before we wrap up. This has been magic. You will have seen it as well, like winning the World Cup. What's it been like being one of the players and recognised, and you would have got a lot of attention after it.
It's been cool. I think the biggest thing for me, as a part of the Springbok team, is just the effect of what it's had on our country. it's brought so much positivity to our country. I mean, the struggles and things that happen in South Africa. I mean, it's a country that's been through a lot, and I think we need big occasions like this, and South Africa needed a big occasion like this to just uplift the spirits and just bring a hope into South Africa. I mean, we've got young kids that don't often get the opportunity, but now these kids are seeing a guy like Siya Kolisi lifting the World Cup trophy and being successful. And I mean, Siya comes from a township. I mean, if you had to go to Siya's township, the guys come from unbelievably tough environments. And I mean, this guy's made it out of the township and he's become a Springbok captain and won the World Cup. So now you've got all these little guys that come from these townships that have got hope now, and they're saying, flip, you know what, I'm not gonna wander off and do drugs or go to crime and things like this. I'm gonna go play rugby, and now there's places where people can develop their rugby ability, and there's clinics and there's rugby clinics, and people are getting opportunities. So it's a really cool circle and thing that's kind of happening, and our country just needed this World Cup, and I think that's been the highlight of this World Cup for me.
Amazing, man. I think that's such a perfect place to kind of leave the podcast and leave that message. You explained it amazingly well. So thanks so much for your time, man. That hour that flew by, and we covered off some really
time flies, bro, when you're having fun.
Some really cool stuff, and keep inspiring, man. I think you're a guy who puts in a shitload of work, and you're reaping the rewards. So such a good message. So thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks, Peter. I look forward to more of your videos and tips. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, brother. Cheers, man. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to that podcast with Jessie Kriel, guys. I got to know Jessie via Instagram Messenger when he sent through some stuff around his passing game. And I think that in itself does show that he's an absolute student of the game, and no matter where he gets it from, he's always trying to seek information to try to take him to that next level. And I suppose that's my challenge for you guys, is if there's something in your game at the moment that you're wanting some help around, you're wanting to go to the next level, you're the person who's going to have to get after it, find that information and start working on it, just like Jessie does. Thanks for listening to the podcast. It really would mean a lot to me if you share this podcast with 2 friends, show them how to download a podcast on their phone. A lot of people don't know how to do it, but yeah, it really helps us move forward, whether it's a teammate or a coach, a fellow player. Share the podcast and help us grow. Thanks very much for listening to the Rugby Works podcast.